Welcome to this episode of IRE TV. I'm Tara Bradbury, the Director of the BDM Academy, and we'll be covering different ways that you can actually become a disruptor within your marketplace. 2019 is the space of opportunity. The technology that we have available to us, the supporting tools, the different ways that we can now engage and communicate with our community is amazing. So stay tuned, plenty coming up and a lot more, and I'll be looking forward to introducing my special guest. Welcome back to IRE TV. I have alongside of me Daniel Gow from Calibre Real Estate in Brisbane. Thank you so much for joining us today, Daniel.
Thanks for having me.
How has your day been today? The life of a BDM?
Life of a BDM is always a little bit hectic, and sometimes your plans don't go exactly to plan, but it's what I really enjoy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is why I really wanted to have this conversation with you today about the disruption that you have caused within your marketplace for your business as well as yourself, and the different ways that you expand your profile and the company profile digitally as well as offline. So talk to us about what that looks like and what you have achieved in the last 12 months.
Okay, so last 12 months have been my first 12 months as a full BDM. And over those 12 months, I ended up bringing over 100 new landlords into our business. So very, very happy with that result. But I think that there's a few sort of key things that we focused on, and I focused on myself to try and achieve that. And like you mentioned with your digital space, it's also about, making sure that you're well across your digital platforms as well as being offline as well. So just dedicating a certain portion of the day to the digital platforms so that you don't get lost in them. And making sure that you've got that time to be present for your clients as well.
Because you're really good with the live stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, most people are petrified, absolutely petrified that space.
Yeah.
But you just go in and you wouldn't even know there's a camera in front of you a lot of the time. And you can really see your authentic self. And I think that's what makes the difference with what you put out there in the marketplace as well.
I'm going to be honest, I'm scared every time. but I think the key thing is that if you wanted to go down the route of doing things like that and getting in front of the camera and doing it live, you've just got to do it. And after a few times, you'll realize that actually the fear just dies down and you go into your focused mode.
Exactly. And people don't expect it to be perfect when it's live.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. If you make a mess, if you fumble your words, it's okay. Yes. You can retract and you can compose yourself and take that moment.
Exactly. Now, congratulations. You took out the BDM Rookie of the Year with the Real Estate Training Group, which was fantastic. I know for yourself, you've really changed the way that you approach your prospecting, managing your day. Talk about some of the tools and different things that you utilise and maximise on within your role to really enhance that performance and put your presence out there.
Okay, if I put it down to three main things, the first thing that I focus on, maximise the relationships with the sales team.
Yes. Because
I think that a lot of people, I assume when a lot of people start out, like me, they realise that they're a little bit afraid of prospecting, they're a little bit nervous around getting new clients and talking to new clients, but the reality is you've got contacts right there in your palm that you can nurture. And I think that the one thing that I didn't realise at the beginning, which took me a little bit to realise, but once I understood, I was able to maximise on how many leads came in from the sales team, was not expecting a sales team to send over rental leads. Like, you've got to be able to work your sales team and maintain those relationships as well. And I think that's the case in any agency. You've got a sales team they've got their own work to do. They are very busy themselves. So you need to be with them, and you need to make sure that you're there for them and they're there for you, and maintaining that relationship. The second is obviously prospecting. And I know that you know that I struggled in the beginning to do prospecting a lot. And it wasn't so much the fear of getting on the phone, but the ability to stick to a calendar and to actually set aside those prospecting times. Whether it's an hour or 2 hours a day, or if it's split up that you're going to commit to. I think it was very easy for me to get sidetracked into whether it's into property management related things or whether it's into dealing with new clients that I've currently got on the books trying to lease out their properties. I think it's just a very, very easy thing to put in the back of your mind and view prospecting as something that can be moved out for other things in your calendar. And I think, to be honest, until I really committed to it and said, no, I'm not moving these are my appointments.
Yes.
I don't think you really get the momentum that you're looking for until you can figure out how to commit to that and realize the importance of it. And yeah, another thing is obviously maximizing your digital presence. So something that we do specifically is obviously we utilize a lot of marketing. So whether that's professional sales quality photographies, which obviously we're seeing a lot more of in our rental industry now, high quality photographies, 10 to 12 to 16, depending on the properties. Something else we're seeing is a lot of aerial drone shots, and we're starting to utilize those as well. Very cool. And 3D walkthrough tours, live video inspections, like you mentioned before. I find those are very, very important for finding new tenants, because in our industry at the moment, I'm finding that a lot of our tenants that are applying for rental properties are moving up from Sydney and Melbourne, and there's a lot of migration going on. They need to be able to view the property without being there physically. So I think offering those services helps us maximise not only on the applications that are coming in, but on the service we can provide to our landlords so that they can be sure that we're capturing every lead possible for their property.
Dan, they were 3 fantastic points. And I think for anybody, if you're looking at starting out now in a role as a BDM and have had some experience in the industry, just as Dan said, you were within a role of property management, you've done a bit of leasing, and now you've stepped into BDM full time,
yes,
which is wonderful. And obviously clearly enjoying it as well.
Loving it.
So it's there for the taking, whether you're a starter or if you're somebody that's wanting to refresh what you're actually doing throughout your day and your processes, and making sure that you are doing everything to compete with people that are stepping into the space. And it's going to happen to you as well, Daniel. You know, there's some fantastic tips there. Enjoy and have a go and implement them yourselves. So we've gone and we've, kind of touched over different things that can work really well. And what I loved is your honesty in, the first part of it, where you're talking about that it's easy to fall back into wanting to help the team, because we want the team to be super successful as well. We want them to feel really comfortable that when you are bringing in all these wonderful new clients, that they say, yes, Daniel, I will take on all this extra work for you.
We want that,
because I can see the vision of what we need to achieve here. However, I'm sure everybody will agree, it is easy to then say, okay, well, I'll help you with that entry condition report, or I'll help you with those maintenance, and slowly go back into it again. If you looked at the last 12 months and some of the changes that you have made, because you have been asked, and it's obviously been something you've wanted to do as well, to be a full-time BDM, what would you do differently, or if there were tips that you could share that might help others potentially in that same situation? Okay,
so some tips that I could share. I guess for my background, I stepped into a BDM role gradually. So I was still part of, I was in charge of leasing our properties out, the ones that were being relet, and I stepped into that role gradually. So I was still very much involved in the property management, and I think that the tip, if I was to give tips for anyone in that kind of situation, it would be you need to communicate with your property management team with the handover of your new business properties, where the new business role stops and where the new property management role begins. Whether that's on the property manager going out to do the entry condition report, whether that's a little bit earlier, if there's any maintenance to be done, finalising that kind of stuff. You need to have a clear line where you draw that line in the sand and you say, all right, that's now the property manager's role and responsibility, and we facilitate the handover with the client very, very smoothly. If you don't have that, it's very easy to get worked into that client still with the next 2 to 3 weeks, not just a casual checkup to see how they're going, but if things pop up, if your tenants move in and a dishwasher breaks, if the property manager is really busy, it's very easy to get sidetracked back in because it's still your client, you still feel really responsible for it. The other tip I would say is when you're dealing with things that you see as non-negotiable yourself, like prospecting sessions, is to let the team know how you feel about that as well. Because if they don't have the same view of importance on that kind of work that you're doing as prospecting sessions, it's very easy for them to come over, knock on the door when they see you're off the phone, jump in, ask you a couple of questions. It only takes 2 minutes, but then you're thrown out and your momentum's gone. You need to figure out a way to get back on the phones and have those conversations again. So I think that even if it's a sign on your door, anything to let people know, look, next hour, please don't come in. Just shoot me an email, anything, just let me know after I'm out. But this is really important. And you need to view it the same as if I was in here with a new client.
Exactly. Yeah. And you treat it as an appointment that way. And isn't it interesting because now you are really starting to make some traction in your marketplace, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
And it's those steps. It's not just come and be an amazing BDM and put yourself on a Facebook page there and you will be a gun in your marketplace and take over. It does take time.
Yeah, it does.
And for some people, it can go a little bit faster. And I think that if you look at what Justin and Alice have created, you've had an amazing brand, but connection with them as well as the team to support you throughout that process as well.
That's true.
Now, I know that you do this as an individual, but as a business, it's just amazing what the presence out there in the marketplace and what you do for the community. Talk to everybody about that as well, because I feel that that's also set you apart from those that are within your competition space.
Okay, cool. So as a business, I guess that we try to focus on a bit of community events as well. All the local school fetes, all that kind of thing. We try to get involved quite a lot. But from, I guess the other thing that we do as in my role, I guess, is when I go out with a sales team, and if I go and attend sales inspections, I'm getting our rental side out and about. And I think that's really important because a lot of, as you'll know if you've worked in real estate before, a lot of sales agents do that. They need to get out and involved in the community. And it's the same thing with the rentals. It's a sales-based role. So whether that's networking events, your weekly networking events that you register and attend to, or whether it's just going out to the monthly evening events that are all over Brisbane. I think those things are really important. The other connection I would encourage people to make is connecting with an agency that's outside of your area. We've actually received a lot of referrals from agencies that don't manage properties in Brisbane, but will manage properties in Sydney.
Yes. I
think those are very, very, really important relationships to build upon. Because we've had a number of times clients say to us, I've bought a new property, it's way outside of your area, but do you know anyone? So being able to ensure that our clients are looked after with another agency in Sydney, Melbourne, or up on the Sunshine Coast, and having that relationship reversed as well is really, really important.
But how powerful is that when you can provide the client that solution that they need so quickly? And I think that that's extremely important in any sales role, but obviously very beneficial to BDM, that when you can do that and provide an answer, whether it be to recommend them to work with that client down in Sydney that you were talking about, or it might just be that they come in and then they say, I've done all these renovations to the property, I'm ready to list it this week. Can you recommend a hair salon? I really need to get a haircut. And I know that you would know someone in your area that you could send them to. And then that person's going to be so grateful that you've sent the business in. Now, it's a one-off client, but it's still an opportunity for them that it could be something in the future.
It's a much more holistic approach to it. So.
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel as an industry too, we've got to remember that we do have amazing technology. We have amazing support out there that we can now use. And as I said earlier on, 2019 for me is the best space property management has ever been in.
Yeah.
But one thing that I certainly congratulate you on is that you still keep the actual general communication happening, the face-to-face communication. You're on top of that better than most BDMs that I see, and you're a very high communicator in following up with text messages.
Yeah.
And you're very diligent with that. Now, do you need to set yourself reminders for that, or do you feel that's a natural process for you?
I think that I set myself reminders just to be sure of it.
Yeah.
But I think, like you said, we've got a lot of technological advancements, software like Inspect Real Estate, for example. But I think the key thing is that all this software and all these advancements that are being made, they're designed to help us do our job more efficiently so that we can free up more time to be there face to face with people. It doesn't replace that. It helps to mitigate other responsibilities that we have so that we can free up that time for customer service, because I think that at the end of the day, we're in a service industry, and I think a lot of people do sometimes forget that.
Well, it's definitely very well demonstrated. I see lots of different testimonials come up on your page. You're doing very well. And if anyone wants to follow Daniel, I would highly recommend it, because he's definitely in ownership of that, of what he's doing online as well as offline. Thank you so much for joining me today on the couch.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Now, what an amazing interview. So many takeaways to assist rookie BDMs, very new BDMs, and existing BDMs coming to our marketplace. Thanks for watching. I'm Tara Bradbury, and this is IRE TV.